The City of Angola Board of Zoning Appeals, November 27, 2023 meeting. I have the roll call, please.
Brant Moore.
Here.
Howard McKeever.
Here.
Phil Rowe.
Here.
Mike Sutter.
Here.
Susan Ralston.
Here.
So we do have a quorum. Everybody's got a copy of the September 25th minutes. Are there any additions or corrections? Not, I'll call for a motion to approve as presented.
So moved. I will second that.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes are from the September 25th meeting are approved. A little bit about our business or how we run the meeting. If you do speak, please come to the podium, give your name and address. We'll start with the city planner giving the staff report, and then we'll ask the petitioner to present the facts relating to the case. The board will then direct questions to the petitioner. We'll then recognize any remonstrators or correspondence into the minutes. We'll allow any rebuttal time to the petitioner. We'll close the public part of the hearing, go through the findings of fact, and then entertain a motion. So we'll start with the new business, 1290 Woolard Street, Development Standards Variance.
Okay. All right, first item on the agenda is a front yard accessory structure. Application type is a development standard variance. The applicant and owner is Jerry Long. Location is 1290 Woolard Street. Requested relief from section 18 of 164, 130, E as in Edward, accessory structure standards, industrial and location. The current zoning is I2, moderate intensity industrial district. Hearing date is today's date, November 27th. Legal notices appeared in the Herald Republican on November 17th. 8 property owners within 300 feet were sent certificate of mailing on November 13th. Applicable code is Title 18 of the UDO and Indiana Code Board of Zoning Appeals 36-7-4-900 series. Excuse me. The project is not located within the floodplain and staff recommendation is denial. The petitioner's primary use involves remanufacturing antique classic automobiles and/or automobile customization. With the amount of inventory on hand, the petitioners rents off-site storage units to house the overflow of automobiles and automobiles accessories. The petitioner has advised staff that these units are unsecure and not covered by the petitioner's insurance policy. Therefore, the petitioner wishes to construct a 30-foot by 60-foot cold storage accessory structure at his primary business along Woolard Street. The 0.720 acre parcel houses approximately a 7,630 square foot primary structure and approximately 15,000 square foot asphalt impervious area. At the time of original construction, the primary structure was built in the eastern portion of the lot and provides ample front yard setbacks and meets rear and side yard setbacks. As you can see on the top image is the inside of his primary building at 1290 Woolard Street. Image is provided by the petitioner. And the next is the overhead view of the property, the orange, that shows the property lines. Next, we'll go into illegal non-conforming use. It should be noted that the petitioner's primary use, Integrity Auto Sales, is that of an automobile-oriented business. An automobile-oriented business defined within the UDO means a business that includes services rendered directly onto or for vehicles. An automobile-oriented business includes automobile accessory installation, automobile body shop, automobile gas station, oil change facility, part sales, rental, repair, service station, and wash, not including automobile sales. As of today, the petitioner's operation is legal non-conforming use as this is permitted within the C2 and highway commercial districts. Per section 18-184-060B, a legal non-conforming use shall be permitted to occupy and use in existing buildings and large existing buildings, newly constructed buildings, and relocated buildings, providing the building meets the current Unified Development Ordinance. The petitioner is requesting a variance for the from the accessory structure standards. Per section 18-164-030 of the Angola Municipal Code, it states that an accessory structures are permitted within this zoning district. Subsection E is an Edward location. Accessory structures shall only be allowed in side and rear yards. With location of the primary structure, the only available position would be off the northern facade of the side yard for an accessory structure. Avoiding this side yard setbacks of 20 feet would only allow for approximate 10-foot wide accessory structure. Next, we move into the site plan. The applicant requests a relief to construct a 30-foot by 60-foot accessory structure in the front yard, shown in blue, over already impervious area. The accessory structure is placed 30 foot from the right-of-way to accommodate the front yard setback. The accessory structure is noted to be anchored to the ground with posts being buried 32 inches with no windows, 2 garage doors facing the south, and an entry door on the east facade, and constructed with the same or similar colored material or colored metal exterior to match the primary structure. As you'll see, is the petitioner provided figure 1 site plan, and the bottom is a little bit cleaned up with what he's presented with GIS outlining the approximate dimensions of the accessory structure. Next is images provided by the petitioner of the perspective views of the accessory structure. Next, we move into site photos, and this is as you move south on Woolard Street. This is from the northwest corner of the property looking southeast. The accessory structure to sit in front of the blue facade and between that and the telephone pole. The next is looking directly east at the front facade of where the accessory structure is to be placed. The next will show a resemblance of the measurements of a 30-foot by 60 on where it would lay. This is a view from, again, Woolard Street looking east. And then lastly is from the southwest corner looking northeast over the whole complex. Moving into contextual zoning and land use, as mentioned, this property is zoned I2. Surrounding to the north is A&W Manufacturing and Repair and Rockwell American. To the south is NEI Glass, Hudson Aquatic, and Metal Spinners. To the east is Chapman's Brewing Company, Rapid Rebuilding, and commercial businesses along North Wayne. And to the west is Wagner and Associates, Dave's Diesel, Countryside Repair, and Agricultural Zoning. For the comprehensive plan, the Angola Comprehensive Plan speaks to objectives within Principle 1 and Principle 2 for this project like this, but we are crucial to stay cognizant. While staff encourage growth and establish businesses within the corporate limits and redevelopment of underutilized lots, it is important to protect property values, improve quality of life, and community character. As of today's date, there's been no public input. The legal notices being sent. And staff conclusion, staff agrees the space is very limited in the side and rear yards and understands this project may be a cheaper option, however, does not constitute a hardship. An accessory structure in the front yard would have a negative impact on the character of the neighborhood and would withdraw from promoting orderly development of the community. If the applicant wishes to pursue improvements on the parcel, then staff would recommend applying for an additional primary structure on the property or addition to the existing primary structure. This would invoke the proper review process for this scale of development via the development plan process with the Plan Commission. Any questions for staff?
So the recommendation from the staff is that instead of asking for this, the two other options would be asking for an additional primary structure or adding this on to the existing primary structure and not a separate.
For this board is either denial or acceptance. And if it is denial, then provide him the knowledge of going through the plan commission process for adding an additional primary structure on the property or the channels of doing an addition to his primary or his existing primary structure.
Anybody else have any other questions for staff?
Is, on the south side, is that structure within the measurements of the setbacks existing? As far as this end of it, if they were to go to adding the primary, is this end within setbacks over
It
here?
meets setbacks on the south, north, and east facade.
It does, okay.
Yep. So the new additional extension of either an addition or a primary structure would have to come off of the east facade of the front yard of that faces Wooler Street, which is the parking lot area.
So I think the important thing to know is there's room to add on to the structure and meet all the development standards. The important thing is by going the route the petitioner has chosen to go, he's skipping basically the process of the development plan, which would invoke lighting, architecture standards, landscaping, all of those items, which that is what staff does not recommend.
All right. Are you the petitioner?
I am, yes, sir.
Come on.
Hello, my name is Jerry Long, and my my home address or my business address, home address?
Good one.
Okay, home address 2995 West 100 North over on Loon Lake there, Angola, just outside the city limits. And I wanted to ask, is there a hard and fast time limit here? And is
Nope.
there any rules to what I can and can't say?
Nope.
Sort of like, have an attorney answer that.
Sure.
All right. And the last thing, I know this is a one-party state, and I assume, I can record this. I'm just letting you guys know. My attorney, Jim McIntoffer is not here tonight, so I would like to record this.
It's live on
Okay, all right.
YouTube, so.
Fair enough.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask for a brief recess to consult with the city planner?
Sure. The board will be in recess.
5 minutes.
Brett? Yeah, just.
Meeting back to order. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for having me here tonight to hear my case. I've been a small business owner for quite a while. Obviously, if I was maybe a bigger company, I'd be someone else here that isn't the correct owner, and the outcome of tonight's decision may not have as much of a emotional impact as it does on me, if you get where I'm coming from. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell my side of it here, plead my case. And I did watch a couple of the YouTube, by the way, to get a sense of how this goes on in the past. And I was glad to see in the past that at one time one of the voting members had recused themselves, And I saw also that there has been a few times where you have actually sided with the property owner, maybe against the staff recommendation. So I was a little bit put off because going back, I just to quickly hear a little bit of background information. I worked with Vivian Likes back quite a bit from like 2015 to 2017. And I always felt like very sincere with me. And she was like, as long as you're honest and upfront and you don't try to do anything secret or whatever, you bring it to her and she'll work with you, and you just do what she says, and takes a little time, you work something out, and that's how it was. And, she actually helped me move my business from 2 other locations on a different part of the town in 2017 over to 1290 Wooler. And I had I thought highly of how that was handled, of her and such. So when I decided, because this has been a problem for me for 2 years now, of having to lease off-site storage for these antique automobiles. And it's kind of a real hassle, honestly. And I won't get into all the details because we don't have enough time, but there's some things with the insurance. And then this would have been in 2013, my wife and children. And I had a family member of mine that was sick, and I purchased the property from that person over on Oak Street. And I was when I bought it, there was already like a 30 by 30 addition started behind the building. All the foundation walls were poured, by, I don't know if he's still in business, Bob Holman. And so we were trying to finish that up. And it was kind of like I was leasing also 180 Oak Street from Dan Garman. And I was trying to space is always for me, it seems like a problem, so I worked also with Tim Newby, the vice president of Farmers State Bank, and Vivian and just kind of after trying to, we had to get a variance to finish the other structure, with the walls and the basement walls at Oak. So what with Tim at Farmers and Vivian and myself and my family and other people gave input, it just was kind of like versus coming here like I am tonight to get a variance to finish that 30 by 30. And it really wasn't enough adequacy anyway of space. And then I was still leasing another building across the road. So we thought, well, I was also looking at where Bomag has moved into recently, if you know where that is, on Woolert Street. But anyway, that property or this one. And I decided to purchase this one. Vivian helped me with if you guys noticed, it's zoned as legal non-conforming use. So Vivian helped me with a segment of my business, Integrity Auto Sales, to, I was trying to get everything in order, with the zoning. And I always want to mention, I've always been the one that whenever I want to do something, I've learned in my life, don't get ahead of yourself, reach out to people, find out what has to be done, and try to go through the right channels. And I've always done that with Vivian, and now even with this project. As you know, Brett, I reached out, and Retha's not in here, but I was the one that initiated this before the building company, it's called Northridge Steel, that would put this building up, and they've got 20 years experience putting up commercial steel buildings. And they were wanting me to pay a deposit, to lock in this, deal and all that. And Brett, of course, advised me against it. I invited him out to my facility because people have a real hard time understanding what I do here. So I always try to invite people to come look because I feel like they'll see it better than trying to explain what I actually do this facility. But there's some things like in the report tonight that I think are somewhat not quite factual or somewhat erroneous. And I don't think whoever prepared the report that it was anything that they were, I think they didn't, it was more of a mistake, not the good and well-intentioned, but actually Integrity Auto Sales is not my primary business. My primary business is called SAG Performance Group, and it's the parent company of Integrity. And that's engine manufacturing company. And I do other things, parts manufacturing, parts sales. And the reason there's 2 different names at this facility is for insurance regulations. When I buy and sell these collector cars, the state requires in Indianapolis that I have a dealer's license. It's kind of more of a manufacturer's dealer's type of thing to wrap your mind around it than like a used car lot, dealer. But anyway, I have like a lot of insurance policies with different companies for my businesses. And like I have one with Pekin Insurance and the other one, I can't remember the name of the insurance company, but they require that Integrity Auto Sales for insurance reasons be a separate entity from SAG Performance Group. So even going back like a long time ago, SAG Performance was always my primary business. It still is for tax purposes, for bookkeeping. With the building down where the assessor's office is and everything in that in town, my SAG Performance is on file with them. It is my primary. So it's not my secondary. And so with the non-conforming zoning and all that, I do a lot of heavy duty stuff, and I have a lot of pictures, and I'm not even going to bother bringing them out unless somebody wants to see them. But, my wife says that what I do is like a small automotive factory, like a Chevrolet or a Ford. And I'm not trying to say like Chevrolet or Ford, but as far as everything that I do at this facility, I mean, we take out the complete drivetrains, transmissions, rear axles, redo the whole, the body, the chassis, put it all back to like the antique. It's almost like an artistic thing as far as the Integrity Auto Sales side of my business, down to putting the right little markings on the drive shaft, like they came off the assembly line, these little tags and stickers and decals. And when I get them done, they get sold. And for like sales tax reasons, I have the dealer's license for a couple reasons. You're not supposed to pay sales tax on things for resale, obviously. So I have the Integrity Auto Sales entity for that reason. And then also, obviously, I sell a fair number of cars a year, these antique cars, maybe 5 or 10, sometimes more, sometimes less. But, the state, if you try to do that stuff under the radar, obviously they're going to say you're actually a car dealer, so I just want to point that out, Brett. And we had limited time. It was raining when you were there. The building commissioner, Scott Lehman, was also there with Brett and I at my facility. And it's hard for people to wrap their mind around what I really do. So I just want to say, in the legal non-conforming zoning, that's a different matter. We're not discussing that here, obviously. But I think my other segment, SAG, is correct for the I-2. So I want to say that. And then the other thing I wanted to mention quickly is when I first had emailed Retha, it was like October 4th, I think, because I wanted to make sure before I paid any deposit with the steel building company to do this, that I was going to be able to get a permit, because they require you to have a permit before they start putting the structure up. So Retha told me that the only real issue that she sees is that the ordinance, the code, section E says it needs to be on a side yard or a rear yard. And she said you may need a standards development variance. So I know I was a bit kind of upset or put off when I got the report the night before Thanksgiving. I read at the 10 pages that we just went over, because there's a lot of things in there I feel like aren't quite, and I don't think it's necessarily anybody trying to say something that is incorrect intentionally, but I think there's a few things in there that need to, it was kind of like, I felt like it was a scathing report. I was kind of worried. Like I saw the denial. That was the first thing I saw when I opened the PDF, Brett, the word denial. And I was thinking like, oh man, I was just trying to do what Retha had recommended here in the first place. And I waited 2 months to have this hearing. And then I saw denial and I was thinking like, all right, well, what's the likelihood of these voting members here going against the city's recommendations? So I was kind of like worried. I actually had trouble sleeping after that a little bit. But then I watched some of these videos and I saw that you guys, that's not the case always. So I do have like some hope here tonight, obviously. And I looked up the law here for the voting members. It says, by the state law that you have to be impartial and all that good stuff and hear my side of it. So what I'm getting at here is I was a little bit upset about the denial, because I felt like I even invited Brett out. I had the building commissioner there with him, and Scott said, I have no problem with this as long as Brett signs off on it. It seemed like, and I even had a conversation with Retha Hicks like 2 weeks ago, because I wanted, Scott, the building commissioner, said you should try to get an appointment with Retha. He thought that'd be a good idea. So, but it was a bit confusing because I know there's been some changes here lately. And Brett's the new building or city planner, and I think Retha got moved into doing something different. So I tried to get more information from Retha about, am I handling this the right way? Am I, just trying to find a solution to my problem? Am I doing this the right way? And she said to me on the phone a couple weeks ago, I think the variance hearing is the right direction. And she said that she thought my presentation would present well. And we left it at that and she was too busy to have a meeting with me in person. But then I got the recommendation, and it was like this polar opposite of that. So I wanted to get that out of the way first off. And I found that there were 3 things in the report specifically that I felt like they were giving a reason for denial, aside from needing more time to look at this and review it as a large scale project. But what I saw in the report was, I saw like if you weighed it, the main objection was aesthetics was a heavily weighted. It seemed like maybe 50% or more weight to that. And then there was a mention of maybe hindering first responders. And the other one was obscuring other neighbors, my businesses, that are next door to me. So I disagree with the first responders, because I can explain that. I have pictures. I disagree with the obscuring my neighbors because they have already structures of their own obscuring my property. So it's not blocking anything. And then as far as the aesthetics, I feel like because this board has to deal in facts, not opinions, according to state law, that aesthetics it should be taken into consideration, obviously. And I'm not against zoning. I'm not like an anarchist, okay? I used to work as a sheriff's deputy and a police officer in Kansas. And I know the need for laws, obviously. There's an old movie, Man for All Seasons, where there's like a young guy that says, if he didn't like the laws of the land. And the one guy said to him, if you knock all the laws down of the land you're trying to get rid of, kind of like an anarchist, then who's going to protect you when the winds blow then? So I understand zoning, there's a need for it, but I think also you have to balance the rights of the property owner with that. And it's something like aesthetics is very subjective. And I looked up what the definition of aesthetics was, and it has to do with like the art of beauty and philosophy and such. And I was trying to figure out what is that for zoning. And I looked up aesthetic zoning, and it's everything I could find with aesthetic zoning. It mentioned that was primarily for residential or like historical districts, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe city parks and such. So I feel like putting that much weight on the aesthetics is not really fair, especially when the company that would put the building up, they sent a representative out to look at my existing building, to match the exterior design and all that. And then the other business, I have pictures all the way up and down Woolert from one end to the other. And there's many, I got a right in here, a bunch of pictures that show other areas of the road from one end to the other. They're not very aesthetically pleasing at all. And I know when you're doing new structure, you're trying to change maybe the old ways and clean it up. I get it, but there's like the city uses a lot of Woolert to dump all the land dirt there and fill to do the road maintenance there. And there's a lot of like busted up asphalt piles. And there's a lot of different other detached structures on Woolert. So I don't really get or agree with the aesthetics of it. I would try to work with people to make it aesthetically pleasing as I can with this. So that was kind of like with the aesthetics. And then the first responder thing, that was the other one. I don't really see that at all because I have over 17,000 square foot of paving, and I have 4 pedestrian doors there. And that front door stays locked. That's to my office there. There's even a sign on it. I remember, Brett, when you came, you said you were reading my sign before I let you in, that it remained locked to go to the other door. So that's not my primary door. there's actually a door that this building wouldn't obstruct at all. There's two of them within like 40 feet that any first responders could get into. And then the other one, as far as I already addressed this, the obscuring the two businesses. The glass company, NAI, is my neighbor, excuse me. They're on the one side, and they already have you lock it, store it. That's like 40 feet long right there, right along within like 8 feet of my property line there. And then on the other side, A&W Machine, they have a wall there and a loading dock. And then all the signage and stuff is way much further out in front of the right of ways up by the road. So that's all I'll say for now. I appreciate your patience in hearing that, but there's kind of a lot to this that I wanted to just put out there, and that's all I'll say. That's it. The one last thing I want to mention is Scott Lehman, the building commissioner. I first talked to him about this. And again, he said he didn't have any problem as long as Brett and, this office was okay with it. So I felt like he I guess looks to make sure, these sort of things are in compliance when you're building them, and maybe that's more of his function, but I felt like that was worth mentioning. That's it for now.
I guess what I would say, aesthetics is a big part of what we look at also, but I guess what I'd like you to address is that in it says that you cannot have, a accessory structure in the front.
Right.
So can you address that?
Yeah, I do.
Why should we allow an accessory structure in the front?
Yes, sir. And I didn't want to ramble on and on. I have thought about that. I really have. And I don't want to sound whiny, but the actual I-2 zoning allows for up to 8 support structures, and it's my own, I'll take responsibility. I didn't understand the zoning well enough when I bought this property, I guess, to know that there was going to be that section E to this ordinance, that they have to be in the side and the back. And I'd gladly comply with it if I could. But as Brett report shows, there's only one side of my building that I could put it on the side or the back, and it wouldn't allow the structure to be more than 10 feet wide. So I have no other place to put it. I'm kind of landlocked by the brewery company behind me, A&W Machine on the one side, and then the glass company with their, you lock up storage on the other. So there's a need, obviously. Why would they allow an I-2 zoning for up to 8 accessory structures if there wasn't a need for this sort of district to need to have those? And I understand the reasoning why you'd want them on the side and the back for aesthetics, right? Or what you're saying, first responders and all that. And I would gladly comply with that if I could, but there's just no way to do that. So
when it says that be constructed with the same or similar colored metal exterior, is it going to be blue? Is it going to be the other color?
Well, I wanted to put back the front to the color of the majority of the building. I don't know if there's a better picture Brett could scroll to show the front of it that's not aerial.
And there's 30 feet between that and the other building. Is that what it says on here? In between the two? Between the new one and here? 30 feet?
Yeah,
That is approximately 30 feet. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's going to be 25, 30 feet. I mean, that's just by an aerial measurement.
So what are you expecting this to look like then?
Well, I want to make it look as nice as I can, obviously, to make other people happy and for my own value of my own property there. But I do have I have a lot of information on what it would look like, and I have a lot of pictures. They have the buildings come with a 20-year warranty, and they partner with Sherwin-Williams for the paint. It's got a 20-year warranty to not deteriorate, and you can pick any color you want. I mean, they build custom buildings. This company they build factory buildings. They got 2 locations, one in South Carolina and one in Indiana, and they manufacture all their own tin and all that. And their complex, I looked up, it's Northridge Steel. I looked at the one in Indiana, and it's a huge complex, for them to build these buildings. And then I do want to say that I did pay the deposit with the building company to do this, even though you advised me not to, Brett. And I told Scott Lehman had said, well, if I told them they're willing to give me back in full in writing, they even signed it, my deposit to do this, if I can't get a permit. So to kind of hold the agreement with them and all that, I did pay that. But they will give it back if I can't get some sort of permitting, to do this. So I do have a lot of information in this blue folder here of what it would look like, but they'll match.
The exact what it would look like. I mean, that's kind of what we need to see. We really kind of need to see what is this going to look like.
Yeah, can you bring back up the, and I know it's not going to show the colors and all that, but the picture there, the perspective view. So that's exactly what it would look like. The one side door, they're going to move more to the middle. So it would line up exactly with the other front door that I keep locked on the front. And what I wanted to do, because I have a sidewalk there, you can't access the front door unless you go away from that area. Anyway, that's just kind of like a side overflow lot that I don't use, but you have to step up 2 steps. May I point on here?
Sure.
Okay. Like first responders and all that, you can't even get to that front door, which I keep locked anyway, because there's another door here with a step, but you can't even get unless you step up 2 steps here on there. So as far as the door, the one walk-through door would be lined up with this door. If I wanted to, I could put a 2-step down into here. And I thought if I could put like a lean-to, if they do need to be joined, that would just be a breezeway there. And they can use the same color tin. And I wanted to probably paint the blue back to the same light tan color of the other building. And that would be the same color of the new structure. And then they would also match the tin of the roof to the same color as the shingling on the roof of the building there. And then as far as what it would look like,
While you look for that, I have one question from the day that Scott and I were there.
yes.
The front door that you always keep locked, on the image aerial, it shows blue and there's another door. Is that what you're going to use as your main entry? Because at the time that was all cluttered, like almost barricaded off, not use of that. And Scott gave you some direction for fire code and everything else.
Correct.
So is that going to be?
Yeah, that door can always be used. That's not a problem. And that's the more direct door if you don't want to walk up that walkway to go to the front. And I do keep the front one locked. And I usually keep kind of that one locked too, because the majority of the work I do is done back in the production area. And you get a bunch of people wandering in all the time. That's why I have the by appointment only sign. But there's also another door that that's marked to come to for shipping and receiving that is back. If you could maybe pull that back up, Brett, please, where it shows the front garage doors. Okay, that'd be okay. That one there. There's also another door where UPS and FedEx come on a daily basis back here. You can't see it in this photo. And then there's another door here. And I have better pictures here I could give to you to show that. But there's plenty of entryway for anybody that wants to come there, whether they're UPS, FedEx, first responder, or anybody. And there's even another door on the other side of the building. So yeah, to answer your question, I mean, there's multiple doors. There's two, like I told you, there's too many doors for what I do on that building. But the signage for Integrity Auto Sales, that segment of my business, is the door that is actually right here. It's not that one here. And that one just goes into where my office is up front, that front one. So like if I was in my office and this building was put there and if I did use that door that I keep locked, you just walk right out of there and you could go into the door of the side pedestrian door of this new structure. And then there would still be like between the planter there and that sidewalk that you walk up with the 2 steps, there'd still be like 8 or 10 feet there that breezeway between them. And I'm not ignoring your question Mr. Moore about the wanting to see exactly what it looked like. I have this here, but it's not in, they did kind of try to put it in color, but it was 3D model. I could show you. Is it okay to approach?
Absolutely.
Okay. And I can get better pictures, but I don't want to get too far into this, but they'll match. You pick the colors. Pewter gray is what it would be for the roof because that's the closest to this. They came out and they looked at 2 samples to match it to this roof. And then they said pebble beige was the best way to match it to the, Brett, can you go back where it shows the longest part of my building, the other side of the L? All right, right there's good. That's, or yeah, that one's good. All right, see the color when I bought the building was, let's just call it, it's not exactly pebble beige because that's what I'm trying to match it to. If you see that here. But that's what the front was too. But I had some other signage up there. You want me to?
No, that's fine.
Okay. I had some other signage up there. It was the craziest thing. GM and Lansing dealership, because I'm an authorized reseller for Chevrolet through a couple different performance dealerships. And they had offered signage, that bow tie. Did you happen to see the bow tie in there on the wall inside the building with the cars? Can you? And I'll wrap this up, but back where it showed the cars inside on your report.
Oh, that. Okay.
Yeah. All right. See that big bow tie up there? I had that, and I had real pretty big blue Chevrolet letters, even bigger than at the Chevrolet Heralds up there. And a GM dealer offered them to me because they were remodeling their building in Lansing, Michigan, and sold them to me for $800. And so I paid $3,000 to have them put on the front, and it looked real pretty. It was all lit up and all that. And after a year and a half, I got a letter from Chevrolet Detroit General Motors saying that they didn't like that because of trademark stuff. And I tried to explain to them that I was sold this stuff by Chevrolet, and they said I could use it. So I wasn't dumb enough to try to go against General Motors. So I just took the stuff down and took the loss. Now they're in that storage trailer, Brett, on the other side, the rest of the big Chevrolet letters and stuff. They said you could use them if you put them in your basement or something for novelty, but not for commercial use is what GM told me. And I wasn't even about to try to fight that out. So I just took it down. But anyway, that's why it's blue, because with that gold bow tie that used to be on the front of the building and all that, it actually looked nice. So now that we had to take that down, I want to put it back to the same color as the rest of the building, and then it would match the new structure I'm putting up pretty close. And then I don't like that they put shingled roof on this building because most commercial buildings have a tin roof, but that's the way it was when I bought it. So that roof at some point is going to need to be changed out. And then I would use the same perforated tin in the same color to match this new structure. And if they need to be joined, I would be willing to put a breezeway that looks nice, a lean-to roof to connect them. And then that walkway to get to the doors would also serve to cover, your head from rain and all that. If you would want to use that walkway, that second door, which is not my primary door. And then I also should mention A&W Machine, which would be right behind this new structure. We're pretty close. We have a yard that's it's all grass, and it's maybe 20 feet apart, maybe probably 30 for a setback roughly. But an A&W Machine is a pretty big building there too. They're the machine shop for Angola Wire. You guys are probably familiar with the Angola Wire. That's their personal machine shop. And all their drainage for their factory building there comes in between there with all the drainage hoses and all that. So that grassy area, it's at the area you said I could do up to 10 foot. Wasn't very practical, but that was the biggest area I had, up to 10 feet of a structure. That's all drainage. And also on the other side where I put this new structure, it's the city's drainage. So also the paving is already all graded for watershed and all that because it's an existing overflow parking lot space. So all the water and all that would go right. It's already all, and I'm not wanting electric in there. I'm not wanting any drainage or anything like that. I just need that area there. I put in that room there. I use those auto lifts. It's hard to see because with that plastics up there, but I use that to put engines and transmissions and all sorts of stuff out. And it gets really bad where you have to, if you need to get one car out for some reason, sometimes you got to move 2 or 3 cars to get them out. And if it's bad weather, or whatever. Or sometimes you use a floor jack to try to drag one over out of the way, and you end up damaging stuff. And it's a real cluster. And I'm renting now 3 other bays at the new storage facility they put up by the YMC, where I got 3 cars in there. And some of these cars are like, well, I just bought one from the Hemmings auction at $53,000. I just wired the money before Thanksgiving. And you put those in you lock it with this flimsy little door. I mean, they got gates and cameras, but my insurance won't cover it because my insurance is part of the garage liability. And they want them inside, but also on this same 1290. It's a real mess, and I'm short on a lot of room. Even today, just to give you a quick example, and I'll just be quiet here, but I do have just a couple photos here I want to give you. Is it okay to?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there any particular person I should hand them to?
No.
All right.
We'll have to keep them for like exhibit if that's all
Yeah,
right.
you can have them. I got copies.
Yeah, they have to be entered into the record.
Okay, that's fine. This is was today. I wanted to have this current. This is a paintless dent repairman that you don't want to try to paint on these old cars unless you have to, because then you got to do the whole car and the paint won't match. So that's a picture of today. I had the paintless dent repairman out, and thankfully that car happened kind of accessible, but it's still obscured by a wall inside there. So it's a real stuff like that. You know, my hardship is I could give you 10 hardships, but I'm not going to make you suffer through that. This is another hardship. I got to choose now between the forklift and a collector car inside this building. And the problem is I get semi deliveries for like van semis with pallets on a regular basis, and I got to offload them, and trying to get that forklift started when it's covered with snow. And then sometimes, batteries are when it's real cold outside, trying to jump the battery and charge it to get that thing lit off. And then the driver's there, and if they're there for more than 15 minutes, they charge you detention. So I don't even have room to put the forklift in right now, which it is a hardship to me. Those are just 2 little practical examples. And like if somebody wants to look at a car and it happens to be in the wrong spot, or I use these auto lifts to work on them, to put stuff in, to work on them on a regular basis. So sometimes you got to move like 3 or 4 cars, which isn't so bad when the weather's nice, but like in the winter, it can become a real bottleneck thing. And then also I have an engine machine shop in one part of the building, and an engine dynamometer that is I got a lot of stuff in there that you don't see in this picture. Like there's other areas of the building, and like Scott, the building commissioner, said, "Wow, you got a lot of expensive equipment here." And I said, "Yeah, that's right." So where those cars are, they're really in the way, and I want to get them out of the way, but still where they can be insured. And part of the underwriting of my insurance, they want them kept inside. So I'm just trying to get them out of the way so I can have some room to be able to be more efficient. And I want to show you why, like, I can't put it in another spot. Well, we already discussed why I can't put it on the side or behind, but this was just like 2 days before Thanksgiving. I sold that GTO there, and I got to leave the one area of the building for auto haulers and semi trucks to have enough length back in there to unload them and to load cars. So I'm real limited to where I can put the building. I kidded with Retha. I don't care if we got to put it on the roof. I'm not wanting to be that picky about where to put it. I'm just trying to put it in an area like where I got my trash can. They come to empty the trash service over on that one side, and I got to keep that one lane open for the semi trucks. So I think you guys get the point from my side of things. And I just thought the report was a little bit one-sided with, like, I felt like no one, and it may be because no one had the time to think about it. It's hard to get a perspective of what I do, but you have to have the zoning, but the property owner's ability to be able to operate the business, obviously, too, has to be taken into consideration. I thought the report didn't necessarily speak to my needs as a business owner, and the ability to be able to use that industrial area to logistically operate my business. So
So the south end of the building that you want to build would line up exactly with the existing building?
yes, it would. I think that's the north end, isn't it, Brett?
Yeah, it'd be the north.
Yeah, it would. And Brett and I went over that and I felt bad because it was raining that day and I tried to get a measuring tape out in my own. I'm a work with my hands sort of guy and got him a little wet, but we looked into that. It would line up exactly. What I'm trying to do is put it as far off to the side to not interfere with the semi deliveries and cars coming in and out of my auto lifts as I'm able to. I'm trying to cooperate with the section E of this ordinance off to the side or the rear. But the technicality there is kind of like catch-22 is I'm putting it all the way to the side as I can to not violate the setback, but then it's still in front, right, Brett? Even though I'm putting all the way the side of the property boundary lines, it's still in front, side.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask some questions?
Please.
So let's back into this a little bit.
All right.
All right, this property, you're wanting to do storage for the vehicles you have, correct?
Yeah.
Secure storage.
Yeah, I'm just wanting to move those out of there so they can be put off site because
Yep.
I don't work on them all the time. A lot of them, when I buy them, they are so old, like the brake systems don't work anymore and the fuel's expired. So I just want to be able to put them off out of the production area because I have also an engine machine shop and a dyno facility. And I got it always in those auto lifts. I'm always trying to get like cherry pickers, engine hoists and all sorts of stuff through there.
Mhm.
And the cars are like, you're like walking on top of them almost. You got to like move them around to get through it.
So can you explain what anchoring the accessory structure would mean?
Yeah, they have these anchors they use for pavement that they say go 30 inches deep. And it's the same thing they use to anchor mobile homes down.
So they're the big screws.
Yeah, I think I have a picture of those,
Yep.
but I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Scott said that's acceptable.
He said he had no problem with it as long as you guys are okay with it. And I didn't discuss the specifics of the anchoring with him.
Okay. How do they hook onto the anchors?
How did
Do they do guide wires?
no wires as far as I know.
So they set the actual frame onto
Yes,
those anchors.
yeah. There's no like cables, like Brett said, I've seen Amish people like roll buildings off of rollers and with cables. And I got kind of upset about that at first because I was like, I'm not trying to do some rinky dink deal like that. But I think what threw it is in the email I sent to him, it said Amish Sheds Direct. And that's this company, Miss Barclay, this is that company there. They're over across from where Fun Spot Amusement Park used to be.
Yep.
And they're not the ones doing it.
Mhm.
They're only a dealer for Northridge. So they're just selling, they're
Okay.
getting a cut of this as a local
So
company.
would there be any issue with calling this a primary structure?
No,
Okay.
tomato. I only went with a accessory structure because Retha said that it sounds like that's what you want to do. I was trying to lean on her to tell me what to do.
Are you going to put any sort of drain in this?
Well, I could, but I really don't think I need to because I'm just going to use it for dry, cold storage of these cars. And I'm not going to put them in there where they're wet or anything like that. And when the building company come out, they said the way that it was actually laid out straight edge boards like 16 feet long to make sure it was flat on the paving. And they said that the water and all that was already fine, how it would drain.
Or are you going to wash any cars in there?
No,
Okay. Change any oil in there?
no, not at all.
Okay. Have electricity?
No.
Have water?
No, I'm wanting to just do the 3 I got in the storage bays behind by the YMCA.
Mhm.
I want to take them out of there, put them in there. And these cars, I want to get it when I'm not working on them. I just want to get them out of there and lock them in something that's inside out of the heat. The sunlight tears up the interiors, the heat in the summer, the snow
Mhm.
and the rain, it eats them up. And what I do is I try to make them nice again. They're an antique 40 some years old. I work real hard to put them back nice. So when they're done, you can't always sell them that right when they're done. It takes some time.
Mhm.
So when they're done, I need a place to put them off to the side until I sell them. And the other flip side is I need a little time, like this Corvette I bought, it has a potential $80,000 book value. I bought an auction for $17,000, but the brakes don't work on it at all right now. The fuel is rotten. And I could put it in there until it's scheduled to be worked on it, out of sight, out of mind, it's secure, locked up. and trying to trailer, I know you could trailer them to offsite storage and all that stuff. But when the brakes don't work, trying to get them on and off trailers in the middle of the winter and all that, and then you're trying to get them in and out of this little 8-foot wide storage unit over, by the buffalo wings. It's not, I went to school for business for 5 years. I met the requirements for CPA rule for 5 years and all that before I got doing this stuff. And I learned in certain college classes about production and bottlenecking and all that sort of stuff. So these cars being everywhere, and my business has grown some, so that's why I have so many of them. I sell one or two, and I want to take that money and put it back into some, other cars. So it's kind of like farming, it kind of.
I understand.
Okay.
Jennifer, are you saying that if it's a primary structure, then at least we have some control over what's there and what could be there and what it can look like? And being an accessory structure, we really don't have that. And I'm not questioning its integrity by any means,
Right.
but we've been burned by that before. Well, yeah, I'm going to do this. And then
Right.
like out west here, and then
Yes.
things don't always end up that way. And being a primary structure, we would be able to control a little bit more of what's there.
Correct. So I will take ownership of this. I think staff should have recommended to him to just go through the development plan process. Even with this variance, he would still have to go through that. I double checked everything. That's what I was doing on my phone. I was double checking what the code said. He still needs to get a development plan approval. In I-2, there's no architectural standards, are there?
No.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. So as far as landscaping and lighting, there is, but not architectural detail in the I-2 district. There is in the commercial.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably where staff was missing out because auto-oriented business is probably in the commercial, not the I2. So that is definitely on staff for making that recommendation. I think it would have been more appropriate to just have them go once to the plan commission and as a primary structure, which.
Would he have to come back here then for anything?
No. Nope. Not that I'm finding. Brett, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, not that coming from that I see.
So, development plan, basically the applicability is if you're moving dirt, you got to get a development plan. We have pretty strict, move dirt, you get it. And if you can go to that, it's under processes. To show them that. So, he would have to go through that process. Whether we call it an accessory or primary, I don't see, I guess, why that matters for this one.
So whether we say yes or no, it doesn't, he's still going to have to go through.
Is it on? So Kim, scroll up a little bit. If Kim wants to confirm development plan applicability applies to the I-2 district. You need a development plan approval if permanent construction, installation, addition, alteration, relocation of a new structure, which is what he's doing, and a permanent alteration to land. And then the exemptions, I don't see how he qualifies for any of those exemptions.
Okay. Is there anything else?
I can do it in under a minute or two. That's okay. All right. I just wanted to show you guys. This is the other part of my building, the machine shop. That Scott said, wow, you got a lot of equipment in here. And that's where I redo all the engines, like the whole, from the block down, they get the hot tanks to boil off the grease, total all the way down, all the machine work and rebuilt for these cars. And here's another vantage point showing going out into where the cars are now in the way. As you rebuild them and you try to come out of there, you're just buried with cars. And there's the sort of stuff, the detail work that gets done to the cars.
And I think we all understand your need,
Okay.
for space. I think we get that. We just want to make sure that we're doing it the right way.
Okay, I understand that. And I need to balance, I wanted to say, I need to try to balance also my other segment of my business, SAG, with the cars. Like this engine here, I even sent in, this went to Germany. That was a $28,000 engine. And you can see when they get put together, it's a pretty, like a detailed thing. So my engine business is just as much of a breadwinner, that segment, as the car thing. They kind of work together, obviously. But the cars are really encroaching on the engine machine shop area. So back to what you just said, obviously you understand my need for space. So enough said on that. And then I wanted to show just two other pictures here to show why with like the first responders. Here's NEI Glass. That's their storage units right along the same where I get the truck deliveries. They're already coming out there. And then also A&W. They're already way out there, and that's where their loading dock is. It's obscured by a 13-foot semi, and this building wouldn't be more than 12 feet. So that when they got the semis in, their dock there, they're already coming out further and obscuring more than this building could obscure for first responders. And the last thing I'll say, and I'm not going to probably say anything else but answer your questions. If anybody was wondering, I saw this gentleman looking at this. We sent out those things to the neighbors, you know what I'm saying? Let us know, to contest this or whatever. A&W Machine, which is Angola Wire, they build these for me. They're my neighbor. Shad's their foreman there. We're friends. You mentioned A&A, Auto Repair Countryside Repair. All right, they balance the tires and put the new tires for these cars I redo on there. You mentioned Rapid Repair Radiator there. They bend up the exhaust systems and install those for me. And I could go on and on. I mean, our little community there, we work together, and I have a good relationship with those folks. So I'm not surprised, honestly, that they didn't show up here and contest it, because, and probably also as an industrial business owner, they understand that, why does the code give up to 8 support structures? Well, you know what I'm saying? Whoever wrote the code, why did they do that? And I can't even have one more than 10 feet wide as my position. I'm not blaming anybody. It's my own fault because I maybe bought the wrong property, but I was trying to buy the right property when I moved over there with Vivian. And that's all I got to say. That's it.
Mike, questions?
How many employees do you have?
I don't have any right now. I'm a sole proprietor, but I did have 2 full-time employees. I'm kind of restructuring right now, and I'd like to hire mechanics. But the problem is the auto lifts where they would be assigned to like a bay, like a mechanic would be, to maybe put engines in. And so I'm getting older. I can't do it all. But right now there's so much clutter with all these cars everywhere. And you just don't want to throw them out somewhere because they're expensive. I want to, and I got 2 boys that are coming of age that I kind of, if they want to get involved with it, I could maybe foresee. But right now I'm a sole proprietor, a one-man band, as I told them. So that's why this impacts me. It's like my livelihood, and.
Susan, any question?
Not that I can think of.
Howard?
I guess the only thing I question about is this space over here. If you made that a U, does that take everything out of, on the south side of the building? If you came straight out from that, does that take everything out as far as being able to get into it?
I wanted to put it there because that's the one area, it's an overflow parking area that it's never used. And it's starting to get where some of the soil has cracked through in a couple areas, getting some grass sprouts and stuff where this structure would go. So, and the way they did it's a big wide entrance for the parking lot, obviously, because it's industrial, so you can get tractor trailers in there. So you either go straight to my 2 front garage doors on the building you saw earlier, or at the way the mouth entering off Woolard is, you can go either to the left or straight. In other words, to the 2 big overhead doors, or to the left. The way this would be positioned is you could go either right into either one of those 2 garage doors there, or there'd be the breezeway where you can still get two vehicles in between the front planter walkway with the steps up to either door. There's still plenty of walkway and all that. So to answer your question, it would, as you come in there, see how it's, they've angled the mouth of the entrance there. Where the mailbox, you either can come in this way and you could go right into the two garage doors, or you can continue on to those garage doors. And what I'm not wanting to do is, people have said, well, why don't you just like do this, connect this or whatever and do that? But then you're just taking all the clutter in front of your auto lifts and where your somebody delivers, and you're just putting them all from here, and then you're still blocking everything. So that.
Yeah, your roof structure would have a difficult time doing that.
Bill?
That was my question and answered.
All right, thank you.
I'm trying. I've even Mark, one of the realtors in town, has been trying to get me now to buy the old BOMAG building. That's, I don't know the address. They moved, out. It's over by the pawn shop back in there with the train right next to it and all the plaster's falling off of one building. I made an offer on it just to try to get some more space but ideally I'd like to have them on the same property. So, and then there's across from the Veterans Affair I've been looking into with another realtor, there's a piece of commercial land there they're selling for $56,000. But I thought I could have my friend Thad Mendenhall put a pad there and put the same building over there right across from the Veterans Affairs on that nice little, over by where they put up the new, it's on the corner of Wooler and.
Council on Aging.
Yeah, there's a nice little pretty plot there. You could put something like this, but then it's a whole nother can of worms. And then, so I need some space. I'm flexible. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
So there was no other correspondence, and there's obviously no one else here to speak tonight. So we will close the public part of the hearing. So Jennifer, explain to us again.
All right.
Sorry, sir.
So, sorry, Brett did have up the development plan. No matter what the next step, no matter what you guys do, the next step is development plan.
And goes to the plan commission.
You guys can either approve an accessory in the front yard or have it, we can call it a primary. It's still related to the primary use of his business. Either way, I think it fits within zoning. If you guys approve the accessory structure in the front, Kim, check me here, but you guys might have some ability to recommend the front facade. Like if they're, how it looks, how it relates to the street, anything along those lines. Since there is no architectural requirements to you, that would be as far as I can't think of anything else that you guys would want to do, because landscaping, lighting, his parking situation, his loading is all going to be reviewed with development plan.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which answers a lot of my questions and maybe some of the fears that I had, knowing that there will be a development plan that has to go through the planning commission.
Regardless of whether it's accessory or the other one, correct?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, what does that do for him if it's classified primary or accessory? Does that change anything that it does for him?
That's what I was looking through. I can't find how it would affect him by classifying it either way.
It just takes some of the wrinkles out by calling it a primary instead of, now it's the front primary building instead of an accessory building out front.
I don't think it's ideal, but I don't know that there's anywhere else.
What about the height,
To do it.
Brett, on I2?
Yeah.
That might be, he might want to do it as a primary, just because the height requirements. The pitch. You know, from grade to peak what the height's going to be?
12 foot on the new structure, and I'd like to speak to the lighting, just one sentence if I may.
We've already closed the public part.
12-foot walls?
12 foot at the peak. It's not
Really? That's
Yeah.
very short. Okay.
10-foot garage doors.
Okay.
But there's an overhead light on the front of the building, of my taller one, that could light that whole building.
Okay.
Any other comments?
35 for
Okay, thank you.
accessory.
Okay.
But I can't imagine, yeah, he'd be fine either way.
Okay.
Is there something that would hold us back from making this a primary structure? Saying that's the primary structure. So we can do that as a board.
Not that I can find, Brett.
Sorry, my mind was channeling with accessory structures on everything else.
You guys, if you would want to have it be a primary structure, you would just deny the accessory, or you can approve the accessory. However you want to do that, but for him, it doesn't, what he's going to build, it doesn't matter which way you guys would call it.
Like in the future, if there wanted to be electric or water or anything like that,
Yeah,
calling it a primary would be better.
well, at that point, it would be built, so we would, look at the structure of it, which he's going to build a code no matter what. Brett, when you talked to Scott about it, did he say it needed a state design release?
I'd have to revisit. I cannot pull and I don't want to speak the knowledge of Scott.
So
So
the usually state design release, and I feel like he needs to be here knowing this all. So that happens when you have employees in the building. So he spoke to not having employees now, but in the future. So if I were him, I just get the design release now. So he's covered for whatever he does. So that's submitting to the state, getting that release. Otherwise, we'd have to work backwards in the future, which never goes well.
Mr. Chairman, may I
Sure.
ask a question? So are we doing, if we do it as an accessory structure and allowing it in the front, if that's the way we vote, does that set a precedence for any future applications?
Kim, do you want to answer that with present now?
It will not?
Because
Okay.
every case is different and it's all
Right.
case by case, depending on the circumstances of the lot and those kinds of
Right.
things. So,
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. So what should the motion say?
Any other comments?
Any more comments on
Vince?
that?
if it's just me and I can throw this out there for you. He's going to be classifying this as a primary because it's anchoring to the ground for the plan development process. So this preparation is for an accessory structure. So that to me is off the table.
So if
An
we say
accessory.
we don't have to do anything, if we say it's a primary, we basically deny this, and then it goes to the plan commission as a primary.
I would ask Kim how you would handle that procedurally.
I have no opinion on that.
Okay. All right. It's not something I'm used to
I
doing.
would say it probably is what it is. It's either a primary or an accessory, and I don't know that naming it one or the other changes what it is.
Mhm.
Besides, the accessory is not allowed in the front yard. A primary is.
This structure meets all the setbacks, correct?
Right. It meets all the setbacks. It just doesn't meet, I mean, it doesn't meet, I don't want to say that, but there's no aesthetics, anything of that, but it's greater than, I mean, essentially, if it wasn't anchored and just a rolled off accessory, it would be fine and be permitted. It wouldn't even need it if it was over, I mean, obviously the front yard, but the size, you need a permit for us to put that size, but as soon as you anchor it to the ground, then it's gonna have to go through the development process.
Okay. What's your pleasure? So approve it as an accessory structure or not is really the vote. So we have findings of fact, right?
His overall denial of this accessory will not prohibit him coming back for permission application for primary structure, correct?
Correct.
So, yeah, it'd be a denial state of the accessory. Then you could come back for same presentation to the plan commission.
Go ahead and go through the findings.
Okay. Finding of fact, the approval of this variance will or will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community.
Will not.
I don't, you guys take a vote.
Oh, you want to count vote?
Because I think I heard someone say will.
No.
Okay,
I don't think so.
okay.
Do you want to do it that way, just to
We
make
can
sure?
always do it at the
Each-
end.
Mr. Chairman, each finding needs
Correct. We can do it.
3 positive votes.
Correct.
Correct.
Was everyone will not?
Will not.
Will not.
Bill? Okay, just wanted to make sure I thought I heard.
Okay. Will not petitioner provided, I cannot think of any other way the proposed project would be injurious to public health, safety, or morals or general welfare of the community. On the contrary, this will improve safety to where my primary structure can be a more organized, cleaner, and safer environment to where my automotive lifts and other equipment can be used with less risk to accident, injury, and property damage. It will also create a cleaner and safer environment for visitors and or customers.
All agree?
I agree.
Number 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in this variance will or will not be affected in a substantial adverse manner. Will not approval petitioner provided. I'd like to state that the use and value of the area adjacent to the proposed project will not be affected in a substantial adverse manner because this area is not presently used for my business in any productive or needed fashion presently, nor has it ever in the proposed structure, and would not block or obscure any drive or encroach on any of my neighbor's boundaries or roadway, as I would have a 30-foot setback. I would actually help clean up the eyesore of aging asphalt that is not being used with plenty of parking and create a nice clean construction appearance to the area far off to the side of my property, which has aged and is not so nice looking. Furthermore, it would allow to an enclosed space to put items that are an eyesore locked away inside, such as our older forklift and other equipment that presently lays outside year in and year out, weathering and not looking very nice. It would allow me to consolidate and clean up outside appearance and get rid of other means of storage outside that are an eyesore of the community. It would also stimulate the economy as I'm trying to spend a sizable amount of money with this project in a reasonable fashion.
Great.
Agree.
Excuse me. Number 3, the strict application of terms of the ordinance will or will not result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
Will.
I think will, yes.
Will approval petitioner provided. My primary activities involve remanufacturing antique classic automotive and or automobile customization at 1290 Woolert. When these vehicles are completed, they are sold by my company as a state licensed used auto dealer. These vehicles take up a lot of space. I really need more indoor storage for them desperately. The currently zoning along with my dealer blanket insurance policy requires these vehicles be stored inside, not outside. In the parking lot, these vehicles eat up a lot of space indoors, and over time it create a logistical hardship for my company and other bottlenecks to cope. In 2022, 2023, I had to rent off-site storage facilities that are not secure, nor does my dealer blanket insurance policy cover them when stored off-site. And average, these vehicles have a value of 40,000 to 50,000, and sometimes as high as 70,000 each. So without insurance coverage and having to store some of them in unsecure locations far away from my business, it has created a hardship. It is not appropriate in many ways to have to store these cars off-site. With that said, I humbly asked for your granting of this variance. All things considered, I would be glad to give anyone an on-site tour of my facility so that you can see the current hardship, color, and indoor other information needed. Thank you for your time. Lastly, I'd like it to be stated that the only reason I am needing to apply for a variance per Retha Hicks and others is only for Section E of the code 18-164-130, and I would gladly comply with this one, Section E, if I could somehow do this. But with other three businesses surrounding me, how they have built and the position of my current building, I have not any significant, quote, side yard, end quote, or backyard to comply through no fault of my own.
Agree? So can we add the condition of the development plan, even though he's got to do it anyway, but just to have that as part in there? So we have a motion to approve with the condition that a development plan be submitted to the city and to the plan commission. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, second case, 1504 North Wayne Street, special exception.
Project name is JK Property. Application type is special exception. The applicant and owner is JK Property Investments LLC, Ken Wilson. Oh, sorry. Location is 1504 North Wayne Street, Suite B in Angola, Indiana. Parcel number 760623000009100012. Section for relief is 18.92.030. B as in boy, number 2, type 6 retail special handling. A current zoning district overlay is C2, medium to large general commercial district. Hearing date is today's date, November 27th. Appeared in the Herald Republican on November 17th. 13 property owners within 300 feet were sent certificate of mailing on November 14th. Floodplain status is not located within, and staff recommends approval. Little project background and summary. Thunder Lakes, a local gun dealer, has expressed interest in relocating their business from its current location at 2160 West to 175 North to a vacant building within the city limits. The petitioner, who owns the vacant building, has submitted a proposal to the Angola Planning Commission to rezone the entire Grandstand Plaza from C1 small to medium general commercial to C2 medium to large general commercial, which was presented prior to this meeting. With the future tenant's main use to be gun sales and its given location, a rezone is most desirable. Gun sales are permitted under type 6 retail special handling via approval with a special exception. The special exception Grandstand Plaza consists of 5 parcels. The Suite B is marked in red and is most northeastern parcel and building. The building once housed Homestead Carpet. The C2 district with special exception for type 6 retail, special exception for gun sales is common along North Wayne Street, held in commercial businesses such as Rural King, Dunham Sports, and Walmart. Next, we move into some site photos, and it's as you move into the complex of the Grandstand Plaza. The first is the corner of Bickland Drive and North Wayne Street, looking southeast over the Grandstand Plaza. Next is looking east at 1504 North Wayne Street, Suite number A, which is the law office, the right side of the building, and Suite B is vacant left behind the Jeep. Next, we move into contextual zoning and land use. The property is zone C2, medium to large general commercial. To the north, McDonald's, Arby's, Village Green Apartments, and other commercial properties. East, Village Green Apartments, agricultural zoning, and institutional property. To the south, you have Sophia's Kitchen, Campbell and Fetter Bank, and commercial properties. And to the west, you have Rural King Dental Office, restaurants, and other businesses located within the Angola Square. Next, we move into the comprehensive plan, speaks to a couple objectives. Objective 1.5, strongly encourage redevelopment of underutilized vacant and abandoned structures. Objective 1.7, encourage infill development for commercial growth. As of today's date, there's been no public input as a result of the legal notices being sent. And in conclusion, the staff is supportive of the request and is encouraged to see commercial growth within the city and capitalizing a vacant building along a major corridor. A special exception of this parcel would allow for a broader range of permitted uses to attract new businesses and create more opportunities for residents and visitors.
All right, any questions for staff on this? If not, one of the petitioner.
Ian Garner, representing JK Properties, 319 Pokagon Trail here in Angola. Just wanted to say thank you for your time tonight as we request a special exemption. Business that will be relocating. Thunder Lake's been in existence here in Steuben County for 5 years, and appreciate the opportunity to have a new location on the main drag and continue to be of service to the community and customers. So other than that, I'm kind of just leaving it at that. If you got questions, I'll answer.
Mike, any questions? Any questions?
No.
No? No. All right, thank you. No correspondence, no one else here?
No, sir.
Okay. If not, we'll close the public part of the hearing. Anybody have any comments?
May I ask a question?
Please.
Jennifer, Plan Commission voted to recommend a zone change on this property for this particular project. If a special exception is granted tonight, is that dependent on city council approving the zone change?
Correct. You'll see on the conditions of approval that prior to the issuance of a special exception, rezone passes all readings. I think.
Thank you.
All right, go to the finance side.
Okay, finding the fact for JK Property for type 6 retail. Number one, the proposed special exception will or will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community.
Will not.
Staff proposes the finding that because it will be utilizing existing infrastructure and mere neighboring special accepted use. Additionally, the special exception will be strictly to one parcel, the north suite of the building.
Agree.
Number two, the proposed special exception will or will not alter the character of the district.
Will not.
Staff proposes the finding that the type 6 retail special handling is consistent with surrounding properties and character of the area, given its proximity to the exact same land use.
Agree.
Number three, the proposed special exception is or is not consistent with the proposed purpose of the zoning district and the Angola Comprehensive Plan.
Is.
Staff proposes the finding that the special exception is consistent for the purpose of the zoning district via the Angola Comprehensive Plan objectives 1.5 and 1.7.
Agree.
Number four, the proposed special exception is or is not in harmony with adjacent land uses.
Is.
Staff proposes the finding that the special exception is in harmony with the adjacent land uses because type 6 retail special handling is an adjacent land use for gun sales.
Agree.
And lastly, number five, the proposed special exception will or will not substantially impact property value in an adverse manner.
Will not.
Staff proposes the finding that because the properties will continue to be used in a manner consistent with adjacent properties and receive all proper approvals regulated by federal agencies such as the ATF.
Agree. All right, do we have a motion to approve with the condition prior to the issuance of the special exception, the rezone passes all required readings at city council?
I move.
Have a motion, a
I'll second
second,
that.
second by Howard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Board of Zoning Appeals Rules and Procedures.
Yes, exciting. So there's just one line we're changing. And that is, we're doing, so to back up a little bit, we're doing a bit of a overhaul to Title 18. That went to Plan Commission at their last meeting, not earlier tonight, the real meeting. And is going to City Council next week. And it has to be 3 readings because it's an ordinance. One of the things we changed over was doing adjacent property owners rather than 300 feet. State code says do either. You are the first city I've ran into city that requires 300 feet. That's mostly in counties, and then cities usually do adjacent properties. So basically you exclude any right of way, all the adjacent properties get a notice. For cities, for example, we've had some, I don't know, where they've said over 100 just because of how big the property was and then everything around it and how deep that went into some neighborhoods. So usually cities do adjacent properties and usually counties do 300.
But do you think that's a bad thing? So to let more people around something to know what's going on?
You know, I always refer to best practice on this line, and best practice is city do adjacent. Like for example, Hendry Park sign, that was over 100 people got noticed.
What does it cost someone to do that thing?
So that's another thing we're talking about changing. Right now it's a postage stamp plus certificate of mailing, which is $1.65. So
$1.85 I've seen. I don't get the fluctuation.
$1.85, maybe it's 85. So it's over $2 per letter. We are proposing changing the fee structure to that. Staff is just going to handle that. If we can prove it's getting sent, staff is sending it. We can prove it. We can just do a regular stamp and we just charge them to do it. So streamlining that a little bit as well. So that is our recommendation to switch to the properties adjacent to it.
I mean, I'm just thinking, like out north with the cement place and all
But
that.
that didn't actually matter. 300 feet was the adjacent property. No further, didn't go any further.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was still the same notice boundary at that point. So I get they complained, like, we didn't know. But 300 feet was, what do they call it? Contiguous.
So what do you need from us?
So this would be just amending our rules of procedure. So just a regular vote. We'll get it amended. I'll put up, you just basically keep track of it here. Put it up on our webpage.
May I ask a question?
Mhm.
So city council is going to be considering changes to the ordinance.
Mhm.
How does that jive with the rules and procedures that you're asking this board to change?
So it lies with them, the BZA, to decide this. It's the way it's set up is it's in the rules of procedure, I believe. That's a good question, Kim. I'm making sure in my head, but I think we're fine when I originally went through.
But I mean, the ordinance will define adjacent property owners or.
This is contiguous, so it has to, you take out. Shall be defined as contiguous properties with the assumption public right does not exist. That's a
What you're
standard.
showing on the screen, is that the policy and procedure, rules and procedure of the BCA?
That would, if they adopted them, yes.
Okay, and then what is the change to the ordinance that's connected with this?
So we overhauled the processes portion. So all the processes themselves are getting updated. This today, as the ordinance is today, this still lies within our rules of procedures to change with the BZA's authority.
If the BZA does not follow your suggestion for a change and council approves the suggestions that you're making to the ordinance,
Mhm.
what's
We
the
would
law?
do the 300 feet. We do what they're saying. Basically, the ordinance refers to the BZA to take care of it,
Okay.
whatever
I see.
option they pick. Sorry for answering that so weirdly.
Well, no, that's totally fine. So in effect, the change that's either made tonight or not made tonight will be reflected in the ordinance.
Yep.
Okay.
It's up to you guys.
Yeah.
However you want to do
Yeah, it
it.
does.
Yes, it takes a vote. Mhm.
I so move.
Support.
All in favor, saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. Scheduled meeting dates.
All right, so we did this lovely little draft. Really, you guys just have to look at meeting dates, which is in the gray. It's just adopting the meeting calendar, so it's always the fourth Monday of the month, like we've done. And then the filing deadline, 28 days, like our ordinance says, and legal notice, 10 days back.
I have a motion.
So moved.
Second,
I will second that.
all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Yeah, you guys actually don't have any holiday deviations
Darn
for
it.
the first time ever. Oh, wait, you do in May. So the biggest thing is just letting us know ahead of time as much as possible if we don't have a quorum.
We're pretty good.
Yeah, you guys are good. You guys do a good job, but that's the big reason for doing these schedules ahead of time.
So I have a question. So do we need to respond always to say if we will be or won't be?
I don't know, how are you wording
How
your
do you
emails,
want-
Brett?
I just prefer a response back that if you are gonna be traveling 24/7.
Well, that's why I didn't respond, because I knew I was gonna be here.
Yeah, if you don't respond, I'm counting you as here. If you respond, then I know that write you down as not in attendance.
Okay. Just wanted to clear that. So, okay.
Anything else for us? Next month?
That is it. The filing deadline is,
Next Monday.
yeah, next Monday, so we don't know yet.
So that would be Christmas Day. So obviously,
It's the day.
Wednesday,
It's
the
Wednesday.
27th.
so we don't know yet, but right now you have nothing? Is that what you said?
I'm not, you correct. My knowledge.
We'll try.
Because I will be here for the 27th of December.
We'll have you Zoom.
I will not be on the 27th. That's the Feast of St. John's dinner. by the way.
Okay. So we know two people can't make it.
Suspect I might not, but I don't know for sure.
We'll deter people. I mean, those are the things though to try to iron out so we can give people like notice.
It tells you you're not gonna have a quorum for that anyway. It's possible for the
Yeah,
20th.
she's not, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
After we just said we do so well.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, we're getting as much advance.
That's right.
notice.
That's right.
I'll let you guys know. I'll make a note to send out an email come next Monday. Where we sit, so if we need to arrange, we can.
All right, anything else? Not, do I have a motion to adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
One of the longest meetings of the year, I think.
That car guy was the worst presentation that carried the day that I've ever seen.
Or you're correct.